Are you a quitter? What I'm actually referring to is, are you someone who has quit or abandoned the goals or resolutions that you made at the beginning of the year? There's an official day, apparently, it's the middle of January sometime, that is called Quitter's Day, because at that point in time, too many folks have abandoned or fallen off the wagon, so to speak, and are no longer working on those things that they were so excited about just a mere 2 or 3 weeks ago. By this point, the bright and shiny and the excitement and the motivation and all the willpower, well, it's dwindled off, and in a lot of cases it's gone. And so therefore, we have Quitter's Day. The problem when we set New Year's resolutions or goals is that we're experiencing a little bit of euphoria and excitement. We feel all motivated by the possibilities that are ahead with an empty calendar and all that space. But at some point we go to getting discouraged, and all that excitement turns to what looks like a lot of work. If you find yourself in this situation, please take comfort in the fact of knowing that you're not a failure, you're not a bad person, and you are not destined to repeat the same old bad behaviors year after year after year until you die. Also, you can take a little comfort in the fact that you have lots and lots of company. But here's the deal. Just because you may find yourself in this particular situation right now doesn't mean that it has to stay that way. It is always possible to start again and to make a fresh start. There's nothing special about January. Any time of the year is a good time to make a fresh start if you want to. However, we might consider starting over and making that fresh start with a little better plan and maybe a few tips to help us be more likely to be successful. Tip number 1 I've got for you is don't try to change everything at once. I have done this too many times in my own life. I would sit down towards the end of December or the very first part of January, pull out a blank piece of paper and my favorite gel pen, and I'd start making a list of all the things I was going to change, and I was so excited that I would decide I'll start them all at the same time. And again, as we all know, that did not work. If it had worked, I wouldn't have spent years making the same resolutions or the same goals over and over and over again. And frankly, that's pretty much what I was doing. This year I'm approaching it differently. I have decided to work on one goal at a time. And until I get that one goal mastered, or if it's a routine or a habit I'm working on, which in my case it is, I am not going to move on to the next goal or habit or routine until I've got this one set in stone. And if it means that it takes me 2 or 3 months before I move on to the next one, okay, so be it. My motto this year is that it's better to make real changes, even if it's less, than it is to have attempted a lot of changes and to have failed again. My second tip for you is to set yourself up for success as much as you can. For example, the first thing I'm working on this year is developing an exercise routine and habit, and that's working on my first goal. And to do this, I am doing that the very first thing when I get up in the morning. Because here's something that I have learned about myself over a lot of years. If I don't do it first thing in the morning, I will not do it later. Because later, I'll have plenty of excuses. I'll tell myself, I'm tired. Or I've already had a full day. I've done enough for today. I deserve to rest now. So since I have learned that about myself and learned that I'm, pretty good at telling myself lies and deluding myself, I have told myself that I'm either going to do that routine in the morning or I'm just going to accept the fact that I'm not going to get it done at all that day. One or the other. Now, say there was a day that I did not get to it in the morning for some reason, and I told myself, okay, this is just a day that I won't be doing this particular habit or routine. And some miracle happened, because it would be a miracle, and some miracle happened that I did get to it later in the day. Great. That's just gravy. But I'll be honest, that would be a miracle, because previous behavior and past experience tells me that the odds of that happening are extremely rare. So set yourself up for success as much as possible. Really examine yourself, your own attitudes and behaviors, the things that haven't worked for you in the past, and take clues from those to set yourself up for success as much as you possibly can. There comes a point where it's time to realize that good intentions probably won't turn into actions if they haven't in the past. And then my third tip is learn to be your own cheerleader. I think it's important for us to realize that we have to be the source of our own motivation, that we have to be able to pat ourselves on the back and give ourselves the kudos when we have worked on something, when we have taken some good positive steps to work on achieving something, whether it be a goal or a habit or routine. Too often we sit back and we want that validation from other people. And it's great to get validation from other people. The problem is we can't always count on that. It's not always dependable. It's not always going to be there when we may most need it. So we need to learn to give ourselves our own motivational speeches. You may want to consider setting up a system of some treats or some, small rewards when you have achieved a certain amount of progress. Now, I would encourage you to have these rewards or treats be something that's related to the goal or the habit or the routine that you're trying to implement, because that will just help to reinforce that. But a series of some pre-thought out treats or rewards can be very good motivation for all of us. But the ultimate reason that we want to learn to be our own cheerleader is because we don't need to set ourselves up for disappointment. Some things we have to learn to do for ourselves, and we also need to realize that change, true change, is an inside job, and we can't really outsource that to anybody else. Some things we just got to buckle down and do it ourselves. So if you've looked at your list of goals or resolutions and been a little disappointed in yourself, remind yourself you do not have to be a quitter. There's no need for you to be a statistic. You can always get busy and turn that ship around and work towards achieving the things that you want to have achieved by the end of the year. I know you can do it.